Again, thank you for attending session number 3. We're going to start with basically the purpose of tonight is, again, to think about what are the goals that you want to set this year. And we're going to go into some nuts and bolts as far as how to enter those goals into Rotary Club Central. But really thinking about your year, you have time. Generally speaking, we look at June 1st as the deadline to set those club goals. So another 6+ months to go. But when you think about your club as far as what are the goals you have for membership? What are the goals you have for service? And certainly that's a different meaning right now in this environment. What are the goals that you have for the foundation and how your club will support the Rotary Foundation? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, especially how you plan, but hopefully building upon getting you ready. And I know the next session is going to be on January 16th. That'll be our Pets one. It'll be on a Saturday morning. We'll spend a little bit more time before you go off to or do a virtual All Ohio Pets. I think they're still working on that. But really just things that will be beneficial to you along the way here. So we're going to start with a poll question. And Cheryl's going to hopefully put that up on the screen here. But how many of you attended session number 2? Pretty simple. And I'm asking our presidents-elect to respond. So if you're a facilitator, you don't need to respond to poll question number 2 if you attended session 2. And that was on October 6th. We had Rotary CEO John Hugo was our main speaker. So we'll give it another little bit of time for everyone to enter the responses. I think we have 24 Cheryl PEs.
Yes, and 22 have voted.
Okay. Let's go ahead and see the results then. So 3 out of every 4 PEs in Rotary District 6630, or those who are attending tonight, attended session 2. For those who didn't, again, the recording's on the website, and there's some great materials and resources available for that. And yeah, I love it when Kathy Berkshire just responds because she wants to be a PE. She really needs to be a PE. So another poll question. So Cheryl, question number 2. We've been providing a lot of resources and we're going to continue to do so as far as we are available as the lead team to help you be successful. You know, your success is big, you know, as far as the impact that you make on our communities upon your membership, it contributes to Rotary. So there's been some resources as far as that we've been disseminating, resources that are available out there on the District 6630 website, or even on the Rotary International website. So just kind of curious for our PEs. So Kathy, you don't need to answer, and other facilitators. But what have you used? Have you used any of this so far? Maybe nothing so far. You're still kind of working your way through and thinking about it. Maybe you've accessed everything. So just kind of curious as far as what you have used as far as resources are concerned so far. Okay, so some of you have at least looked at the attachments, about 40% to 5ths. Some of you have visited the Learning Center. We're hoping to increase that, especially after tonight's session. Most importantly, a lot of you have already started to engage your membership, which is fantastic. So again, as you think about your goals, it's really important to figure out where your membership's at and what direction they also want to go in. They've obviously put a lot of trust in you of getting ready, but that's part of it. And then a few of you have not yet accessed resources, which you have time, but they're available for you. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so at this time, our esteemed District Governor-elect, Larry Lohman, will talk for a little bit, and then he will introduce our speaker tonight.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to be back here with you again this month. You know, a question that always comes to my mind is, you know, what has given you your drive in Rotary? Tell you a little story about mine. Back in 2013, My club had a meeting with an individual from El Salvador who was talking about water projects that our club had been a part of for 20 years with other clubs throughout our zone and throughout Rotary International. And as we spoke, he put out an invite to El Salvador for a delegation trip. Well, I did go up to him afterwards and introduce myself and talk to him and ask him some questions about different things. The next thing I know is I feel a hand on my shoulder, which is my father, who's in Rotary with me as well, and he says, "Well, here is your first delegate." So that was kind of unbeknownst to me because I wasn't even thinking of going to El Salvador at that point. But from that point on, I started looking at it and going, okay, well, this will be interesting. Go down, we'll see what our projects are. I really, at that point, did not have a solid buy-in to global projects, to what we were doing through the foundation. And when I got down there, it was really an eye-opener. We started out, we learned a little history of the area. Actually, it's a very bloody history throughout the 70s and throughout the 80s, with just war-torn country, which left a lot of villages without fresh water, or educational facilities, or just a lot of things we take for granted. So as we got going out into the villages and start meeting with with the villagers, I came to realize the importance that Rotary does play throughout the world and with these global projects. It wasn't just we were writing a check and sending money on. No, we're enabling these people to get educations, have time to get educated, to send their kids to school. And the women also were able to go back to school and start jobs outside of the village because they didn't have to walk to get water. And I'm talking walking, a mile, 2 miles one way with the laundry, with a 5-gallon water jug, with a baby in tow. It's, it takes a lot of time to do that, and it takes away from other aspects of a healthy lifestyle. So once I did see that, it was an eye opener for me, and it's become one of my passions in Rotary is fresh water, especially throughout the Central American countries. I've made now 3 visits to El Salvador, and you'll see the picture that sits behind me in my profile. That is actually a water source of one of the villages. That is a water source where they were drinking from. They were bathing in it. They were doing their dishes in it. They were washing their clothes in it. The animals were drinking out of that, were getting into it. The water was not safe. So through these water projects throughout El Salvador, over the last 20 years that my club has been involved, we've been able to go in, we cap those water sources, and we pump them back up into the village. It gives them time. It gives them time to get educated, to start their own businesses, and on top of that, with these water projects, we also form a governmental body to oversee the water systems, as well as they do charge each individual household in the village for that water so that they can maintain the systems and so they can upgrade them later on. It makes it a very sustainable system. That part actually, it's kind of interesting because I didn't think about it till years later, but that also teaches them economics. And a story that I'm going to end with is a story of Yvonne, the gentleman who came to my club originally, who is a very good friend of mine now. He would go after about 6 months after the projects were complete, he would follow up and he'd go through the books with their water boards and make sure that money wasn't being misallocated and that everything was accounted for. Well, he went into one village Is the last one of the last projects that we finished, and actually happened to be the first solar project in El Salvador. Um, and he's looking over the books, and he's noticing there's about $4,000 that's missing. It's just not there. They should have had about $7,000 to $8,000. They had 2,500 to 3,000. And he's asking questions on where'd this go? Did you have a pump breakdown? You know, he kind of needed to know because he needed to report back to Rotary, you know, to our clubs, you know, this. And he was kind of getting annoyed because, you know, they were kind of snickering, you know, and it was kind of interesting. You know, the town elder, she comes up, and he's really getting kind of frustrated, and he goes, where'd this money go? And she hands him a piece of paper. He looks at it. He's not really sure what he's looking at first. He just didn't grasp it. And he finally realized it was a CD. They learned how not only to, you know, sustain their systems, how to, you know, keep track of the finances that were coming in, but they learned how to invest the money as well, you know, to get every ounce of finances out of that money that they're bringing in. So not only are we giving them water, but we're giving them an education as well. So that has been my drive for many, many years now. And that's what drives me every day in Rotary, is the ability to help individuals around the world. I do want to introduce a couple people. You know, obviously, joining us once again is our district governor, Pat Myers, from the Hudson Clock Tower Rotary Club. We have our district governor nominee, David Jones, also joining us. He is from the Cuyahoga Valley, or Northampton Cuyahoga Valley Rotary Club. And we got past district governor Beverly Gent Skorzinski from the Cleveland Club, and David Skorzinski from the Berea Club joining us this evening as guests. With that, let me pull up. There we go. You know, and you know, tonight I am honored to introduce someone who is no stranger to our district, Mary Beth Growney Selene, who served as trustee of the Rotary Foundation in 2016 through 2019, and Rotary International Director in 2013 through 2015. Welcome back to District 6630. A Rotarian since 1987, her inspiration has been up front and center at a number of Rotary International conventions, zone institutes, and district conferences around the Rotary world. The soundness of her Rotary knowledge is evidenced by her selection as a key training leader of district governors-elect at our international assemblies. As a representative to 3 councils on legislation, Rotary's governing body, and as regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, public and image coordinator, and Rotary coordinator. Her committee involvement at just the international level is significant and includes the Rotary Foundation Centennial Celebration Committee, which also supported our district efforts to honor Arch C. Clump, father of the Rotary Foundation, the Polio Eradication Advocacy Task Force for the U.S., and the Rotary USAID Partnership, to name just a few. As a 4-time youth exchange host parent, she is passionate about children everywhere and is a key supporter of the What If Foundation, which helps to feed and educate youth in Haiti. Mary Beth is integral to operations of the Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Rotary Action Group. Mary Beth and her husband Alan are major donors and Bequest Society members to the Rotary Foundation's Endowment Fund, and they are both sustaining members to the annual fund. Her awards and honors are numerous, and even though she has served at every level of Rotary in almost every capacity, one of her most treasured Rotary roles was as club president. She is also someone I have the utmost respect for. I've been told there is a new Rotarian in the making. with the recent arrival of her first grandchild. From the Rotary Club of Westtown Middleton, Wisconsin, Rotarians, guests, presidents-elect, please help me in welcoming to District 6630, Mary Beth Growney Selene.
Larry, thank you so much for that kind introduction, but most importantly for including me in what I consider to be an incredible fall leadership series and a great idea. I hope all of you presidents-elect are enjoying these opportunities to be together as you strengthen your Rotary knowledge in preparation for your service as club president. Before we get into tonight's topics, I would like to share a few slides that I believe move us in the right direction and mindset for setting your club goals and the basic nuts and bolts of our Rotary Foundation. Rotary's vision statement is a powerful statement about who we are and what we do, and should be our guide to everything we do in our clubs. I hope you will reference and recite this in your clubs throughout the year. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Our core values tie into our vision statement perfectly. When you look to setting your goals for next year, please also keep our core values in mind and in front of you. Please go to My Rotary and Rotary Club Central, which I know you're going to learn more about in your breakout sessions tonight, at www.rotary.org and dig in. Set aside some time to get lost on these sites. There is so much valuable information on our website, and it's the kind of information you can use throughout the year. Rotary Club Central is host to your current and historic goals. Here is where you will find your baseline. Engage your current and incoming board of directors. Don't go it alone. Encourage your board to go to Rotary Club Central as well to get a feel for where your club has been. Ensure that your entire club leadership team takes responsibility for the implementation of the club goals for 2021-2022. Work hand in hand with your entire membership. These are not your goals, they are your club's goals. Now, I must warn you, the next several slides have way too much information for a PowerPoint presentation. I've sent the PowerPoint to DGE Larry in the hopes that you will see value in it and reference it moving forward. And the only reason I'm doing this is because we're on Zoom. But that's really ugly. That's an ugly, ugly slide, and I apologize. It's just that there's so much information to share. So you'll get your hands on this. So don't worry about taking notes on what's on the slides. These goals that are listed here are taken from the 2020-2021 goals. I'm comfortable letting you know that you should expect very similar goals as when you get to your pets. And when you get to the Rotary Club Central. Value, value, value. It is all about value to our members. Here's where your entire membership needs to be engaged. In order to achieve the club goal, the goals you've set, everyone needs to be on board. Are we attractive to others, as in non-Rotarians? Do we welcome guests, visitors, and new members to our table? At this point, I'd like to share a little story with you. I was doing a membership presentation in Oshkosh, Wisconsin many years ago. And during my presentation, I asked the members if they had assigned seating. Everybody in the room laughed and they pointed to this one table of older gentlemen. And the table happened to be right below the podium. And this group of 8 all shook their heads and were smiling and laughing and giggling, but they were shaking their heads yes. They were the assigned table. So I said to them, why do you always sit together? And they said, well, since we've retired, this is one of the few times that all of us get to see each other. When we were working, we saw each other in our vocations and in our professional lives on a regular basis. Now, when we come to Rotary, it's the only time we get to see each other. Everybody in the room went, wow, we never thought about that. So I said to them, would you do me a favor once in a while? Oh, sure. They were the friendliest group of guys. And I said, would you invite someone who's not currently sitting with you to join you? Oh, sure. Happy to. About 2 weeks later, I got an email from a younger member of the club, and all she wrote on it was, I'm in. Nobody had bothered to ask that group of people if they would be willing to welcome someone else to their table. Nobody thought to ask why they always sat together. I think sometimes we make assumptions and the assumptions aren't correct, but they were coming to Rotary, they were engaged in Rotary, and they weren't necessarily trying to be closed. It just never occurred to them. They all sat together and they enjoyed their fellowship. Do we actively invite friends, family, and business associates to join us and participate in our service projects? Do our members know we have a partnership agreement with Toastmasters? This is great for professional development. Through Rotary Fellowships and Rotary Action Groups, we can help our members fulfill their passions. Rotary Fellowships is the social side of these global groups. They include such things as skiing, Scotch drinkers, and that's for Beverly in particular, RVing, scuba diving, and anything else fun you can think of. And if the fun thing you like to do isn't on the list, you can create a Rotary Fellowship. Rotary Action Groups, on the other hand, are cause-based. As Larry mentioned, I'm a member of the WASH Rotary Action Group, which is Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene. There's an AIDS Prevention Action Group, an Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, to name only a few, but you'll see the difference. One is very social, one is very cause-based. Although I have to tell you that Rotary Action Groups have a lot of fun as well. Complete lists of both of these are available again at www.rotary.org. And I would encourage you as club presidents to encourage your clubs to do some research if they would like to get more engaged in different aspects of Rotary. Be sure that everything you do in your clubs enhances the value to your members. If you do, you will achieve your established goals. This slide represents our outreach goals. Always think about more. What more can we be doing in and for our communities? What more do our members need? What more can we be doing to ensure the world knows about Rotary, who we are, and what we do? The first and easiest thing I would like you to consider is making sure you are using the proper Rotary brand. If you are not already using the brand, please go to the brand center at rotary.org. Once created, your personal club brand should be used on all of your internal and external communications. And the correct branding is being used in the bottom right corner of my slides, and it was also on your invitations. I stole this brand layout from Larry in the invitation for this event. It's so easy to do, but you cannot believe how many clubs are still using a rotary wheel that is not correct. We need to be consistent. Think McDonald's. McDonald's does not allow 15 different kinds of golden arches. They have one golden arch. Adapting or change is not always easy. However, if we think of change management in terms of our mutual response to COVID-19, we find we are more than capable of doing it, oftentimes surprising even ourselves. Let us always think in terms of how we can better serve our local and global communities through increasing our ability to adapt. One of the things that I think, and as you look at this list, I think that there are some challenges on here. And I think that when you go to the Rotary Club Central goal setting pages, you're going to find that you are going to be pushed a little bit to take risks. We talk about looking at how we do things and the traditions that we have in our club. Are your traditions important to your members? I think that's the first question you need to ask. Sometimes we do things because we've always done it that way, but that doesn't mean it has to be done that way. Encourage creativity from your members. Say, we have got $5,000 left in our budget and we want to do something new. Who's willing to go out into the community and identify needs that are not being met? Encourage that creativity on the part of your members. President Holger has a word that I have latched onto, and it's pivot. We as Rotary have learned in the last 8 months how to pivot like nobody's business. And I would ask you, even when we get beyond COVID, to continue that mindset. If something isn't working, turn it around so that it is working, or have the courage to say, it's time to move on. When setting your goals, please focus more on the excitement than on the fear. Again, you are not alone in this. You have time to survey your members. Find out the value proposition of your club through an honest and effective survey. Someone once said of leadership, be sure to turn around once in a while so that you know others are still behind you. When we engage our members in the goal-setting process, it is more likely they will be behind you during the planning and implementation process. I mentioned pivot a short time ago, and I would ask you to please join me in pivoting to the second portion of our topic tonight, that of our Rotary Foundation. It may come as no surprise to you that you will be setting goals relative to the foundation. Excuse me 1 minute. I was a president-elect in 1993, and our governor-elect started talking about free money. As it turns out, he was talking about our district designated fund, but that was really lost on me because all I kept remembering was free money. I was so excited at pets, and everybody that I talked to was excited about pets. I'm telling you, I was revved up. I was going to get that free money, and I didn't know how to get it, but I knew I was going to get it. And our pets was about an hour and a half drive away from my home. And I get in my car, I've got my suitcases packed, I got all my stuff put away that I had accumulated that weekend at Pets. And I started the drive south, and I thought, oh my God, how am I going to make this happen? From then on, I was scared to death. I failed because of fear. I feared that I would be the only one in my club that would be willing to support our Rotary Foundation. It wasn't until the mid-2000s, with the introduction of the Every Rotarian Every Year initiative, that I found out differently. In hindsight, what would I have done differently? I would have trusted my leadership instincts, and I would have asked every single member of our club to voluntarily support our Rotary Foundation. When we got ready to engage in Every Rotarian Every Year, we realized that we had been spending World Fund and district designated fund money from other people. Our club was only giving $2,000 to $3,000 a year to the Rotary Foundation, but we'd been the beneficiary of grants. We'd had 3 team leaders for group study exchange, which is the precursor to vocational training teams. We benefited a ton from the foundation without giving anything in return. This slide has a ton of information on it. And again, don't feel like you have to take any notes. But the foundation has 3 funds, F-U-N-D-S. The first one is our annual fund. And that is where we give, as Every Rotarian every year, every dime that we give is invested for a 3-year period of time. At the end of that 3 years, the money is divided 50-50. At this point, it's 50-50. Half of it comes to our district designated fund, which is pretty much a checking account for 6630. And the other 50% goes into the World Fund, which is managed by the trustees. And it is the checking account that helps us to match our global grant money. It helps support our peace scholars. It helps us to support polio eradication. It helps the foundation be ours. Within the annual fund, we've got a couple of different levels. Every Rotarian every year means that you contribute as a Rotarian $10 a year minimum. Sustainable members contribute a minimum of $100 per year. Paul Harris Society members contribute a minimum of $1,000 a year. And when you get to any $1,000 increment up to $10,000, you are recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow. The second fund that we have is our Endowment Fund. Many people use this as it's part of their estate and legacy planning. Many people bequest the Rotary Foundation in their estate planning. So on their passing, it would be a contribution would be made in that person's name from their estate. Many people give outright cash, artwork, real estate, all dependent upon the approval of the Rotary Foundation. And the third level, and there are lots of levels in between, there are many layers of major donors, but when you have given a cumulative $250,000 or more, you are considered Arch Clump Society members. And at that point, you have a plaque on the 17th floor of Rotary headquarters. And I think, and it was mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure that the name Arch Clump is very familiar to everyone on this call. I hope it's very familiar to everyone on this call. And our third fund is the Polio Plus Fund. And that money is not invested ever. It is spent immediately. And every single dollar that we give is matched by the Gates Foundation 2-to-1. And the Gates Foundation has so much confidence in us that they give us $100 million before we have raised our $50 million. I would love to see that deposit. I would just love to see $100 million deposit. Polio eradication is our organization's #1 priority. Nigeria has gone 4+ years since their last case of the wild polio virus. Because of their diligence, Nigeria has been taken off the endemic country list. And on August 25th of this year, the entire continent of Africa was declared polio free. I think that is worth an applause. Absolutely incredible. We still have 2 countries remaining, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and they need our help as much as ever. The trustees of the foundation have asked each club to support End Polio Now efforts with a minimum contribution of $1,500. With the Gates Foundation match, that becomes $4,500, and the immunization of nearly 1,500 children. Additionally, I would ask you to please reach out and engage your entire community, which more than likely does not see polio as a challenge. In the United States, we are so fortunate. COVID has reminded us that a virus is only a plane ride away, and no child is safe until all children have been immunized and are safe. And always remember, you are not alone in this journey. Again, please utilize Rotary Club Central to access your historic goals and giving to the Rotary Foundation. Take bold steps to increase your goals. Your first step might be to find your member or members most passionate about the Rotary Foundation and ask them to serve as your club's Rotary Foundation chair. The Rotary Foundation is a unique funding and distribution model in that nearly every dollar we contribute comes back to us, the donors, to support projects and programs most important to our members. We direct our contributions and we decide how they are distributed, directly or indirectly. For the 15th straight year, we have received a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. Their evaluation is based on 2 broad areas of performance: financial health and accountability and transparency. We should be proud to share our standing with Charity Navigator, with our family, or excuse me, with our members and those outside of our clubs. I am in sales, and a long time ago, I heard the question, are you selling the steak or are you selling the sizzle? When it comes to our foundation, we do both. On the fund development side, we need to ask, which is more, I don't know if this sentence makes sense anymore. We need to ask, which is more steak. However, that ask should include the sizzle when we share with our donors how their contributions will be used. Share your club's successful projects and programs that have benefited from foundation funding. The foundation allows us to unlock our members' passions. As club leaders, we rely on you to ensure that all your members are aware of the greatest foundation in the world. Setting and achieving our goals is our lifeline to doing good in the world. All of our goals should meet our vision statement. Again, together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Always feel free to reach out to me with questions. I'm happy to be of assistance in any way possible. I appreciate having had this opportunity to be with you tonight and hope this session was helpful to you in planning for your leadership year of service as your club's president. Thank you.
So as far as, thank you so much, Mary Beth, for taking time out of your schedule to join us here in District 6630 as we get our presidents-elect ready for their year. We're going to take a few minutes, hopefully, as far as if you have a few more minutes for us to question and answer. So you can feel free to unmute yourself, or if you want to enter a question in the chat. This is a great time to engage one of our Rotarian leaders that's a big name.
Hi, Mary Beth. This is Dave Jones. I'm also monitoring chat. One of our guests tonight had a question about the Rotary Foundation and the Paul Harris Society. They want to know if they have to sign up to get the to donate $1,000 a year to the Paul Harris Society, and how do they do that? Or does that happen through the club? They're a little bit confused about the process.
I'm pretty sure it happens through the district. Do you have a Paul Harris Society chair at the district level?
Jim Letchko's, this is Adam Sonalter. Jim Letchko is in charge of it for our district, I believe.
Okay, then we need to make sure that we get Jim's information out there, because the beauty is you don't have to sign up for Paul Harris Society, but the district always knows of the members that are giving at, near, or above $1,000 a year to the annual fund, and those names will be sent to the Paul Harris Society chair. But you get a nice little thing that goes on your pin that says Paul Harris Society, and it's another means of Rotary pride. But I'll tell you, it helps the district, because when we've got groups of Rotarians that are committed to $1,000 a year, and it's not, if you don't give $1,000 a year, nobody comes hunting you down. It's a Rotary honor system for all intents and purposes, but it really helps the district in planning for the kind of dollars that they can expect to be given in the annual fund on an annual basis. So I would encourage all of you to do it. It's like $87 a month, $87.50 or something like that. It's a great way to give, and an easy way when you do it on a monthly basis to the Rotary Foundation.
Yeah, let me add to that, because I'm also on the foundation and also working towards it. We do have a lot of clubs that are every Rotarian every year, and they are doing the Paul Harris Society as well as receiving the pins. So a lot of clubs do $100 per member per year, and of course in 10 years then you finally get that $1,000. But anywhere in between that is what people do. You can sign up online. There is a form that you can fill out if you're not comfortable going online to fill out the form to do a direct donation to either the Polio Now or any of the other foundation aspects that are there. So I know my club is a 100% Paul Harris Fellow, and we have every Rotarian every year. So that's one of the things that we strive for our club. But not everybody gets $1,000 a year. Anywhere between 100 and 1,000 is typical for most of our members. So.
And I think it's just really wonderful that people want to support the Rotary Foundation and making our foundation their charity of choice, or one of their charities of choice. I think I think we should all be proud to support the foundation for the organization that we belong to. And that in normal times, we would be meeting in person once a week.
Great question. Thank you, Mary Beth. David, were there any other questions in the chat, or otherwise people, as far as, certainly feel free to unmute yourselves, but this is a great time to engage one of our leaders and ask the expert.
Wow, that's cool.
David, you're on
Donating,
mute.
I'm looking on the website now for myrotary.org. So the annual fund is that would any one of the selections would go towards the Paul Harris Fellow. I think that's what I'm looking at.
I can tell you, if you give to the annual fund, that contribution goes to Paul Harris Fellows. If you give to polio, that goes to Paul Harris Recognition. And if you give to disaster response, to the Disaster Response Fund, that also gives you Paul Harris Fellow recognition. If you give to the Endowment Fund, you do not get Paul Harris credit.
We just had a talk on the Rotary Foundation at our last meeting. And could you explain the one, from what I remember, is that there was one fund where the contribution where the Rotary would invest it for 3 years, and then a portion of it, or 50% of it, would come back, a portion of it would come back to the local club for their use?
That is the annual fund.
Okay,
And the 50% comes back to the district designated fund.
okay,
So that's distributed for global grants and district grants.
okay. And that is the annual fund.
Annual fund. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And as Michael points out, especially during this period of Zoom meetings, if any club needs someone to come out and speak about the foundation and the things that your members can be doing, I'm sure there's multiple people from the district level that'd be happy to speak to that level, and as far as talk about the Paul Harris Society or the annual fund or even district grants. There's a lot of resources that can help you.
I have a question. Mary Beth, this is Steve Bowie from Akron, Ohio. My question pertains to the Rotary action groups in comparison to service projects. And I was wondering if you would draw a distinction, or would you see something of the nature of a Rotary action group as almost being like supercharged for service projects?
That's a great question. I can speak primarily to the WASH Rotary Action Group because that's the one I'm involved in. And our mission is really to help clubs and districts process their global grant passions. So we can try and help with to locate funding and funding partners. We can help in the global grant development. So not necessarily grant writing, but to help you get through some of that. We actually have a professional resources team that they're the technical advisors, and they will actually review grant applications and assist you in rewriting or strengthening part of that grant so that it will go through the foundation quicker. And if you do that, we just approved providing a $2,000 grant from WASH Rotary Action Group to go toward your project budget. So I think every Rotary Action Group is a little bit different in the way they're structured, but WASH is definitely structured to be assistance to. It's not competitive, but we are here to help the clubs and districts provide.
Do you see those Rotary action groups though within specific clubs, and not so much as reaching out like a net, like you were describing, to help other clubs, but in particular in their own? Do you see anything of that nature?
I don't think that that's possible because they are global in nature. They have to have a global membership.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Any last questions here before we move on to our next piece? If you would all join me either visually or verbally, thanking Mary Beth Growney Selene for joining us tonight. We greatly appreciate your leadership and also your participation in helping us get ready.
Thank you. This was so much fun. Have fun in your breakout sessions. And good luck in your year as club president. You'll have a blast. Best year ever.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Thank you.
All right, so no breakout sessions tonight. We did switch up from the normal a little bit, and part of that is because we're going to rely on one of our technical experts, past District Governor Cheryl Warren, who I trust and rely on a lot for our technical help, but she's going to walk us through Rotary Club Central and how you can begin to enter and track your goals. It's a very different piece as far as if you've not been in Rotary Club Central. So Cheryl, if you want to go ahead and walk us through that.
Sure, thank you so much. I'm going to be showing my screen here in just a moment. The first thing I'd like you to do is, if you haven't done this before, on your Zoom screen, would you please look at your participant box? Can everybody find their participant box? And at the bottom, you should have a yes or no. I would like to know, have you gone to Rotary.org? Click yes or no, please. Give me a second so I can. Haven't clicked in yet. So a lot of you have. So I am really excited to know that some of you have visited Rotary.org. So I'm going to take a moment here and share my screen. And I'm actually going to start by showing you our district website. And the reason I'm going to do that is, everyone see the district website at this time? Okay. I'm going to do this because a lot of you were asking for resources. And I wanted to start here before I go to Rotary.org while I had the opportunity. If you come to District 6630, you can click here where it says E-Directory of Leadership and Committee Chairs down here in the left bar. You will find contact information and who are the resources for you. So this is one way you can find Jim Lechko, our foundation chair, our annual giving chair, fundraising chair. So this is a great resource for you to follow up to what Mary Beth was sharing with you. I have already posted Mary Beth's PowerPoint for you. In the Club Resources tab up here in the top, there is a President's-elect page. Just go to that page. You'll see the videos from session 1 and session 2. And then under session 3 will be her PowerPoint and ultimately the video that we put there. There's also the 2020-2021 district directory that just got published. Your clubs will be getting those from District Governor Pat Myers, and you'll have resource information within that directory as well. So again, a little off of subject of Rotary.org, but I wanted to make sure that I took a moment to share that with you. So now you should be seeing my screen, and this is Rotary.org. Now your login for the district website, and if you use it, your local club runner site is the same. However, Rotary.org is not. That is a separate login. So if you have not yet signed up for a Rotary.org account at Rotary International, you do need to do that first. You click on My Rotary, and this screen will come up. You either register or sign in if you already have a login. Again, this is a separate login from the district and club sites. So if you're going to register, I can tell you, Steve Bowie just did this for me, so I could use his login. And I think Steve will tell you this was very easy to do. It's a very quick process, and if you need help, please reach out to me. I will help you get your login and get more comfortable with Rotary. So when you log in, you're coming to My Rotary. That's what you want to think of in terms of coming into Rotary.org. So this is your page. This is where you're going to sign into. So you're going to sign in. Now I'm using Steve Bowie because he's one of your president-elects this year from the Akron Club. So I want you to see what the presidents-elect will see, not what I necessarily see. So you'll log in using your email address and the password that you registered with. Now, this is a very important caveat. I had this happen today, as a matter of fact. Someone changed her email address and she couldn't get into Rotary.org. The reason is your email, even though you change it in your database with the district and the club, that doesn't change your email login. Your email login is whatever you originally set it up as. So if your email ever changes, go into your profile at Rotary.org using your original login email and then update it. If you need help doing that, please reach out to me. But that is a really important caveat. So once you're logged in, and I am logged in tonight as Stephen, you will see the My Rotary page. And I can't emphasize or overemphasize enough of what Mary Beth shared with you. Dig in and get lost in Rotary's website because there is a lot here. So I need to stay on task and show you the goals section. So the first thing you want to do is you want to hover over Manage. And hover over Manage and some things will come up underneath that button. Just move your cursor down and over to Club and District Administration. And then you have another set of buttons and you want to go down to Rotary Club Central. Rotary Club Central is where all the goals and reporting is going to be located for you. The important part of this is that you have a left-hand bar and you have then tabs across the top. It automatically will open so that you see your dashboard. This is your trending page. If data doesn't match, and I will tell you, we have, here's an example. Our gender trends total one number. Our membership trends show a different number. There are different cyclical updates times. So there's a cycle of updates. And so the updates are getting in at a different period of time. But if you're very concerned, you can always reach out to Rotary or to me, and we can help you find out why there's differences in that data. So the first thing you want to do to set your goals is go down along your left bar to find the Goal Center. Very first button under your dashboard. Click on Goal Center. And under this, again, you're going to have tabs. But the first thing you want to do is look at what date you're actually looking at. It's going to come up in the current Rotary year. So for all of you, you're going to be setting your goals under the 2021-2022 goals. So all I did was hit that front arrow button to get to 2021-2022. So now there are a lot of goals here. There's goals under each and every tab, or you can go to all and you can see every goal as a whole. I like to go one by one because then I know what I'm focused on, but it's all what you're comfortable with. So I'm going to give you an example. Steve, don't worry, I will let you set these goals and your team. I highly recommend that you as Mary Beth was saying, get input. Don't take this all on yourself. Make it a group effort, either during your planning session. I'm sure most of you are doing strategic planning for next year. You should be meeting with your board, and this is a great tool when you meet with your board. You could even sit and have this on a screen and go through and set your goals at one time. Our club also took the initiative to have this one person do the foundation section, one person did another section, and so they made it a real group effort a couple of years ago. Excuse me. So let's start with club membership. First of all, you're like, okay, well, this doesn't really tell me anything, this line. So if you click on show goal details and history, you immediately will then see your history of your goals and achievements and your goals. So then you can say, you can actually make more educated choices and goal setting here, whereby you can say, wow, well, we really missed, we were really great here. Why didn't we meet our goal here? And usually your history tells a story. I'm in marketing, so I love data, branding. That's what I do for a living. So again, I will help your club in any way I can. Your assistant governors are a big help in setting your goals as well. So rely on the resources around you, because we are here to help you. I know one assistant governor helped every one of his clubs in his cluster set their goals a couple of years ago. So we're in club membership. So what do we want our goal to be? So this button, you have to select the goal first before you can actually enter anything. You tell it, yes, I want this to be one of my goals. So I'm going to just put a number in. Steve's going to have 250 members next year. So I put 250 in and I save. Now, does that mean that Steve can't go in and change that? No, it doesn't. He can edit this goal at any time. Goes in, and the way I came in, he clicks edit, and he can say, Cheryl, we need to be realistic. We want the glass to be half full, but let's maybe set it at 145. We had a tough year this year. We've leveled off, but let's go for 145, and then you just save it again. This is how you do each and every one of the goals. So now if I go to foundation giving, it's slightly different. You'll click on edit, and in some of these, you'll be entering a value instead of a goal. So annual fund contributions, again, you'll be able to see your history, and they don't have the history yet for 2020, 2021. That will come, but you'll set a financial goal. Again, select your goal, US dollars, and you can put your goal in. You don't need a decimal point. And then you say, no, don't really want to set that goal. Unclick it and cancel. So let's go back to, I'm sorry, I want to move forward to service. In service, this is a little bit different yet. In service, you will set your goal. Again, it's a goal value. So how many service projects do you want to have? And it explains what the goal is right here. How many service projects will your club complete during the Rotary year? Simply select goal and put your number in. And goals are meant to be a goal. Although you can go in and change your goals, that's really not how you set goals. You set goals and you strive to achieve them. And just because maybe you didn't achieve them doesn't mean you necessarily go in and change your goal to meet what you did achieve. Again, it's to help your club get excited and just really strive to do better. Young leaders, this is going to be a place where you report on Rotaract clubs, Interact clubs, Inbound Youth Exchange, Outbound, and RILA. Public image. Simple question. Does your club have an up-to-date strategic plan? And I can actually answer this one for our club. Yes, we do. Just remember to save each time. And then if I want to look at all of them that I have set, they will come up and you will see the goals that I have set at this point. So are there questions? I'll stop sharing.
And I will tell you, the Rotary website's a lot more user-friendly than it used to be.
Yes, it is. So don't worry about it if you're not comfortable with technology. And I can't emphasize that enough. You have people around you that can make this happen for you, whether it's in your club or assistant governor, district representatives, all of us can help you.
I can personally vouch when I was club president eons ago, Cheryl spent like several late evenings with me trying to figure this out. So there's resources, just raise your hand, ask for help. We want to see you be successful.
The one thing I will personally ask is that it not be at 11 o'clock on July or June the 30th. Mr. McKee and I spent some time on the phone right before he became president of his club. So I told him I'm going to tell that story a lot. 11 o'clock on June 30th. Questions? No? Great. I love it.
Looks like just a few comments, Cheryl, as far as thanking you for your demonstration and making that a little bit more clear, but no questions in the chat that's public right now.
Well, it was a quick demo. So again,
Okay.
Just reach out. Don't be shy.
David, if you wanted to go ahead and restart the PowerPoint as far as just where we're at. I know we've got a few more minutes of your time. So I'm going to kind of run through a few other resources before we get to just, question and answer to wrap things up here for the fall. We will get started back in January with some additional sessions. But one of those is, as Cheryl alluded to, strategic planning. And I know a lot of clubs engage in this process either on a yearly basis or on a 3 or 5 year process. Some do not at all. The idea more than anything is that you are planning as far as you are basically out there doing some stuff. And Rotary does have a strategic planning guide. You might have members who know enough and can lead your club through that process. It might be important to outsource that to get local community leaders or educators involved that can help you. But it comes back to goal setting. So as far as it's another resource, I will send this out as an attachment. It's also on the District 6630 President-elect page, but another resource to kind of help guide you through the process. David, next slide. All right, so another thing that's a part of the process is Rotary Club Central, but also the Learning Center, which I know I've been making a lot of mentions of, but there's also some online tutorials as far as how to set goals, as far as some PDFs that can kind of help you throughout that process. But that's another resource. We are recording tonight's session and we will post it shortly to the PE page. So if you need to go back and if you need to reference the 10 minutes that Cheryl just demonstrated, you have that as a resource. But again, things to kind of help you be successful. David, next slide. All right. I will say the district website, the Learning Center, and then also your President-elect manual. I know it's a 30-page PDF. It's not that much, really. You can read through it a lot quicker. If you condense it, it'd probably be like 30 pages. But these are all great resources that help you prepare and get ready. As I mentioned earlier, our next session is going to be on January 16th. It'll be a Saturday morning. But before we get to that, I want to open it up, see what questions you have for Larry, myself, and others on the lead team. And this would be a good time to unmute yourself, or you can enter a question in the chat.
Thanks, everybody. I enjoyed the meeting. It's helpful to learn how to navigate the website. I've been remiss in doing it, and I'm motivated now.
Thank you, Michael. You just have to get in there and play, really.
Yeah. Thanks.
I second Michael's comments there, and want to say that there's been a lot of information here, and I appreciate that. And Cheryl's how she very diligently and carefully guided us through where to click and all of those things. I appreciate that. The way that you did that, Cheryl, was very helpful. And I've taken my notes, and I look forward to playing around with this because you've made it very accessible, or at least it seems so. And I look forward to having a chance to explore more. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all of your everyone who's been on this tonight has been fabulous. So I really appreciate that. And Larry's in my club, so he gets an extra special shout out.
Thank you, Kathy. We appreciate it. Any questions for us? And if you want to reach out to us individually, as Cheryl demonstrated, there is the district directory on the District 6630 website. Feel free to do so. If you just don't want to raise that question now, reach out to us individually. We're more than happy to help you. And David, by his smiling face on the screen, is really happy to help you.
Anytime.
Ryan, if I could have a minute.
Sure.
I just want to, sorry, I'm going to put everybody back on gallery view. I don't want to be looking at myself. So I get to do that in the mirror every morning. But I would like to thank you all for being here. I know quite a few of you have been here at each of our sessions. I've had individuals reach out to me with questions, and I hope I've been able to answer those in a timely fashion and to help them out. The one thing I am starting to do, and you all will start receiving an email from me, I would like to set up a time just to talk and take any questions from you directly. So don't be surprised when you get an email sometime this weekend or beginning of next week. I will be reaching out to all of our PEs over the next couple weeks. I'd like to make sure that you guys have a good handle, a little bit further beyond than what we're doing in the trainings here, and have some communication since we aren't getting it in our normal fashion of our in-person meetings. So the other thing I would like to do, I'd like to really thank our leads team tonight, which has been led by Ryan Knotts. And, our past district governor, Cheryl Warren, has been instrumental in helping out with all these presentations. I've already introduced district governor nominee David Jones, but he has been doing most of the PowerPoint presentations and putting those together. Past district governor Michael Devanzo has been instrumental in doing all the signups for these meetings for us and all the Zoom side for all the registrations. So, our leads committee, that as you can see there, have been doing a lot of behind the scenes work as well. So I just like to give a big shout out to everybody because they really make these presentations what they are. So I hope you're getting all the value from them that we're hoping that we're putting out there. So we'll go back. Are there any questions while we're here? Feel free to ask any of us.
Larry, at the Rotary, ever considering having longer terms for its officers because the changing of the president every year, by the time somebody learns the job, they're out of the job, and that does not seem to be a very systematic way to run an organization, particularly if you're trying to implement a longer term plan. You know, you talk about the goal setting. Well, if my goals are significantly different than gasoline goals, that means the club has no long-term direction. So, how do you establish this consistency and continuity? It's sort of like changing offensive coordinators on a football team every year, and it's not the way to achieve consistency and success. So I don't know. I've watched this in a couple of clubs, and well, yes, there's a value to every new president bringing in certain things, but basically, if you want a long-term strategic plan to be implemented, goals cannot be significantly different every time you change president if you're going to do it yearly.
I totally agree with that. A lot of clubs, and I know my own club, we have a 3-year strategic plan that will probably be starting into our new planning process this next year under Kathy Myers. But yes, I think it's very important that when you're looking at your goals, you're also looking at your strategic plan and kind of going along with that. But remember, you still, no matter what your plan is, you got to give a piece of yourself to your presidency. I think it's very important. That's why we have different leaders that come in every year, not to change things, but as if you remember back to the first presentation, if you're on it, Jenny Stotts talked about stretching. And it's not about changing anything. It's about stretching. It's about taking what's already in place, stretching it out, adding some more ideas into that plan, and really building a better plan as you go. So a strategic plan is just that. It's a plan. It's a guide. And, you know, as you go, just kind of like your goals, you're going to set your goals for this year. And as Cheryl was saying, you know, you're going to strive towards those goals, but you're going to find different ways along the way to actually hit them. So that's what a strategic plan really is. It's a guide. It's a roadmap to where you want to be over the next 3 years. And really to hit that, you need to bring part of yourself into that plan each year, each president. But I think you do need to stick towards that, as much towards that plan as you can as you're planning, and then move on from that. I hope that answers the question, or maybe confuses people more, but that's the way I looked at it in my presidency. And Kathy's laughing because she's heard me say this many times over in our board meetings. So, but
You're right. Kathy is definitely laughing.
And Larry, some folks might not have been on the last session. We talked a little bit about clubs, you know, have flexibility. So if the club decides to do so, the presidents can stay in for more than 1 year. Some clubs have done that. Some clubs have co-presidents. So there is flexibility within your club.
At my age, I have no desire to serve more than 1 year. But looking at the club long term and providing a continuity in leadership, because change is good, but you also need a degree of continuity. And I'm not sure that changing president every year, and then they emphasize the change over continuity. So you don't get very good and add anything, working out the wrinkles for when you change and go and start to do something else. Now, there's a certain amount of continuity because all organizations have a degree of momentum in that they continue to do to some degree what they've always done. So, but that's maybe not the kind of continuity that you're looking for.
Thank you, Richard, for bringing up that question. But yeah, there's flexibility. It's just how is going to work best for your club, and every club is uniquely different. Cheryl, I think we have one final poll question before we wrap up.
I thought there was another question. I thought I saw Steve Bowie wanting to ask a question. Was
No,
I wrong?
No, I was just going to make a comment. I thought that Larry gave a very good explanation in answering the question and talking about the balance of honoring the history, as it were, according to a strategic plan and what the goals have been, and then reaching and stretching. And I really like what you had to say about putting yourself into it, really owning your part in the continuation of that story, because really it's a great story that we get to tell that kind of like generations, as it were. I mean, if you look at any family, you could see the wonderful history of like grandparents, parents, who we are, our kids and grandkids, etc. Is that it's a continual story, and the story is always bigger than any one of us. So thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
All right, so one final poll question as we wrap up here. Was this session beneficial to you in your preparation? Hopefully some component was, but just to give us a little bit of feedback before we do another SurveyMonkey evaluation, but for Presidents-elect, so Kathy, you don't have to answer this, but was tonight's session beneficial?
Maybe while we're waiting, Ryan, you mentioned a 30-page document. Could you detail what that is again and where that is?
So it's the President-elect manual. So there's a course in the Learning Center, but if you go to the District 6630 website, I will send that out as another attachment after tonight's session. It's not going to come out tonight, but probably next week. It's one of those things that kind of really guides you as far as all the things that you should be thinking about, from membership, from public image to setting goals, things like that. It's really as far as the document of choice to get ready for your year.
Thank you.
So it looks like as far as either, agreed, 44%, or strongly agreed, 56%, that tonight's session was beneficial. So at least no one publicly said it was horrible. They could certainly say that privately. We're okay. But to wrap up here, David, I think as far as the last thing we wanted to show is just some upcoming Rotary dates. And this PowerPoint that we show, we will have available as far as Mary Beth's, and then also the one we have here. But Interaction is this Saturday. That's for all of our high school groups. So that's taking place this Saturday. The Foundation Gala, I think as far as they're still opening, they have like 120 people signed up for next Thursday night. Will be only an hour, so another way of honoring, recognizing clubs. Our next session will be Saturday, January 16th. We're still working on speakers and the layouts, but I can tell you that we're tentatively looking at from 9:30 in the morning on Saturday to noon. And this replaces what traditionally in the past has been probably a 5 or 6 hour event, but this will be virtual, especially where we're at in Ohio right now, but that'll be in January. The Foundation Grants Management Seminars will likely be in February. All Ohio Pets, Larry, I don't know if that's virtual now or in person
More information to come.
Okay, but looking for that in March, and then the District Conference and Assembly of Clubs in April, along with the Rotary International Conference in June. Fingers crossed. So this concludes session 3. We appreciate your time. I'm sorry that I am a few minutes over past 8:30, but again, I hope it was beneficial for you as you think about your year and get ready. Thanks, everyone.